Welcome to the Collaboration Conversation, a new-ish video podcast where Christian entrepreneurs, artists, and friends can share about their upcoming projects and how they are using the gifts and talents that God has given them. We are so excited because we're in the middle of season 2, and if you didn't know, our award-winning season 1 of the Collaboration Conversation has over 11,000 views across all of our different platforms, and we are just in awe, A, of God, but then B, just so grateful for our listeners and for our guests. And so thank you guys so much. Project Brickworks is, this is a part of Project Brickworks, which is a crowd-funded nonprofit ministry that is made possible by generous folks like you. But we are very excited to announce that the Collaboration Conversation is officially accepting sponsors for this season and for next season. And so if you're interested in that, we have varying levels of sponsorship and would welcome that. And so if you are interested in more information, you can head over to the collaborationconversation.org and click sponsor an episode. These episodes are my favorite because it's just you and me. Yes. It's not that they're my favorite. Don't get me. My favorite is actually talking to guests, yes. But there's just a little bit of a.
It's far more chill.
It's just a little bit more chill, yes. A little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
And, so you want to tell our lovely audience what we're going to be talking about today?
Talents and gifts.
It's like the Sunday school answer. Jesus,
yes. No, well, I'm sure we'll hit that at some point. But we, as we talk about different topics to discuss, we were talking about possibly sharing about our trip to Ireland that we took on 2015. I believe that was in March.
Yes.
And we went to see your cousin Katie.
Yes.
Who was studying abroad.
Yep.
And then we were like, well, maybe we should talk about Fat Chance, the movie that you were in.
Since that's where I was when that whole thing kind of started.
Right. And you were like, no, let's talk about both of them.
Yes.
So that's where we landed.
So we're going to have a good conversation today. If you have seen Fat Chance, this will be fun. This will be like a little peek behind the curtain. If you haven't seen it, this will give you a little sneak peek to it, and then you can go watch it afterwards.
Yeah. And where can you find it?
You can find it on Amazon Prime. I think it's on PureFlix, and it's definitely on YouTube for free, I think.
Right.
So you can head over there and watch it.
And bootleg it.
I don't recommend that, but you can do it. Actually, I think it's free from the distributor, so it's not bootlegging.
Okay.
But anyway, Fat Chance it became such a huge part of my life that I just had no idea.
I know.
I was in a place in my life where I had no idea what was next.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what a massive, we talked about pivot last year. That was a huge pivot for me.
Yes.
Was being in that movie, where I was before the movie, where I was after the movie, the people I met during the movie.
Yep.
And so I'm excited today to share with you guys a little bit about kind of how that came about and what kind of an impact that's made on my life. And it's been huge.
Yeah.
And I just had no idea. I had no idea that was going to happen, 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
You've done a lot of roles. And while they've been fun or you've learned something or you met somebody cool, this one just is so much bigger than probably any of the other ones that, as far as impact goes.
Oh, as far as impact goes. Yeah. I think when you make a movie in general, it's kind of hard to get lightning in a bottle, so to speak.
Right.
And I don't want to call Fat Chance lightning in a bottle. I'm not going to say that, but what I will say is that the topic, when it came out, how relevant it is today, how much you and I struggle with body image, and it's just a really important topic right now, especially. And so I think from that perspective, it was lightning in a bottle. Yeah. It was just this zeitgeist, if you will,
right.
Where the topic just was really impactful. And so I was so honored to be a part of it. So let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
So I was unhappy at my job,
right.
which is a theme in our lives. But I was unhappy at my job. I had worked my tushy, if you will, off, and just was not receiving respect and
no appreciation.
No appreciation. It wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
And so I knew I was on my way out. I just wasn't sure about the timing, and I wasn't sure how I was going to make it work because I was pretty close to those I worked with, and so I just wasn't sure how I was going to how God, honestly, was going to orchestrate. At the time, I wasn't thinking in those terms. I had no idea how I was going to orchestrate this exit.
Right.
And so, fast forward a little bit, we booked a trip to Ireland to visit my cousin Katie, who was studying abroad.
Right.
And where did we book said fine trip, Mom?
Oh my gosh. What is that called?
Groupon.
Oh, it's Groupon.
Groupon.
Oh. Well, and while it was a great deal,
it was a killer deal. It was like $800 inclusive for flights, hotel,
car rental.
I mean, it's $800 per person, but still, it was a killer deal.
I felt like I didn't have a net. Like if something went wrong, we were on our own.
Well, it was our first time traveling abroad.
Yeah. Well, for me.
Together. The only time I ever went abroad before that was when I was like 16.
Right.
And I don't really remember it all that much. I mean, I remember it a little bit. Anyway, that's a story for another time. But,
yeah.
So we bought it on Groupon, which was such an interesting choice, but I highly recommend that particular one went great. We stayed at like a castle.
I was going to say, it wasn't just a hotel.
I called it a hotel, but it was like a townhouse. It was a house.
Yeah, I was thinking we were in a condo.
But it was a house. They were detached.
Oh, were they?
They were slightly detached, so it was just a house.
A house
on castle grounds.
Yes, and it was a beautiful castle.
It was beautiful. Oh my gosh.
What was it called?
The Adair Manor. So it's actually a manor. It's actually not a castle, but
it looks like
you just walk up and you're like, oh, well, that's a castle. So anyway, that's just beside the point.
Right.
In fact, I'm going to cut to a clip right here of an Instagram thing where you'll see it. So I'm going to show it to you, and then we'll come back. And we just had such a good time. And we went, who did we go with?
So we went with my mom and we went with my sister Denise.
Yes.
So the four of us were traveling over to visit Katie, who'd been over there for a little while.
Yeah. And we lived in Nashville at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they live?
My mom and Denise live in Boise.
Yes.
So they were flying from Boise to Chicago, and we flew from Nashville to Chicago. Met up with them, and there's one flight a day.
Because there's one flight a day on Aer Lingus.
Yes.
That goes from Chicago to Dublin. And that was part of the Groupon. The Groupon was a flight on Aer Lingus, and on that one flight.
7 p.m.
out of Chicago. So. Yeah.
And it was crazy. So, and this really was probably the only big bump in the road.
It really was the only major, I would say the major bump in the road.
And that's, we were standing in line to get ready to check in.
Well, hold on. I'm going to set the stage just a little bit more. So when I've never experienced international travel like this, right? This is like the first time as an adult that I'm traveling internationally. And what I'm not used to is that there's the gate that you were going to, and then there's the front desk before you get to security. It's the same people for this particular flight. Like Aer Lingus only employs probably 5 people.
Right.
That's not probably true, but it's the same people. So you have to get there painfully early so that those people, so you can check in, check your bags, and then those people can then make their way to the gate to handle all of the gate things.
And check us
in. So we were there very early for the flight.
Oh, I think we sat in that airport for more than 10 hours.
Yeah, it was a very long time. And on top of that, the line was stupid long.
Yeah.
It was just a very long line. We're standing in line. We've been traveling all day. We're excited, but we're nervous and tired. Yeah. And so we're standing there, and let me say one thing about what you just said, though. I was fully expecting those people to get on the plane and be our steward and stewardesses. Flight attendants.
Because I was like, they have these 4 employees, and that's it.
And the captains.
They did not get on the plane.
That's not how that works. But it's just, it was just kind of an odd situation. So if something went wrong, teaser, if something went wrong, you were out of luck.
Yeah.
So we're in line, we're excited, we're tired, we're nervous.
Yeah.
And Mom, being the mom that she is, says, "All right, well, everybody, let's get our passports out." So I get mine out. Denise gets hers out. You get yours out.
Yes.
And your mom gets a passport out.
Yes. Oh, I felt, my heart just sunk. So she opens her passport, and I'm standing over her shoulder, just noticing, and it's Grandpa Scott's passport. He has passed away, and somehow she still has his passport in her safe. And I, as calmly as I could possibly say, said, "Grandma, do you by chance have your passport too? Because that one's Grandpa Scott's." And she was flustered. Oh, I felt so bad, and she was beside herself. And
so there was but I feel like that moment was just excruciatingly long.
It was long. Slow
we were like,
motion.
what is happening?
So
We don't have a passport.
She doesn't have a passport.
So Grandma did not have a passport. So the next few hours are just a little tense.
Yeah, well, we have to get a line.
We have to get out of line. We have to get out of line. Actually, that's not true. We went up to the line and I just said, hey, what
right.
can I do? And something in me changed. I just like went into this other mode of
You took charge.
Of like just taking charge and like, I have to fix this.
Yeah.
And so basically there was nothing that the gate agent, she wasn't even the gate agent at the time, but the lady, I mean, she was technically going to be the gate agent. There's nothing that she could do for me.
Right.
She gave me a phone number to call and that was it. So I called the phone number. Grandma's beside herself. You and your sister are kind of consoling her. It's okay. And I'm on the phone trying to figure out how to get her
to
Ireland.
Well, while you're doing that, though, Denise and I are on the phone. Well, Denise called her husband, Lance.
Yes.
And they all live near each other. So Lance drove over to Grandma's house.
Yep.
Got her passport and overnighted it.
To the hotel.
To the hotel in Chicago, which we didn't have a hotel in Chicago because we weren't spending the night.
Right.
So I jumped ahead a little bit. But we were busy making
arrangements to get the passport.
Yes. While you were trying to figure out what we can do
to figure this out. So
because there's only one flight a day.
There's only one flight a day. It's
That's
not like we could
crazy.
just take another one.
Right.
So anyway, that was a very long story, and it's just a long story. But to make it a little bit shorter towards the end, basically what happened is we ended up having to book. We couldn't leave Grandma alone. Was the problem. Was one of the many problems.
Why would we? Yeah.
Right. So it's not like we could just go and she could get her passport tomorrow and come the next day. It wasn't like that. So you stayed behind. You very graciously, I'm sending love to you. Very graciously stayed behind with Grandma while Denise and I got on the flight.
Right. We couldn't all miss it. So she and I went ahead because Katie was already in Dublin. She was waiting for us in Dublin already. Oh, I didn't know that.
She was already there.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so Denise and I got on the flight, and I was beside myself. I love you, Denise, but I didn't want to fly with her. Love you. I wanted to fly with you, right? It was a mother-daughter trip, and so I was very upset that you were not on this plane.
Yeah.
And so we go to Ireland, and you guys get a hotel
in Chicago
because I have booked on the phone two seats. I've just moved our seats, and it wasn't just moving.
You had to pay.
I had to pay. It was like $700 per flight or per seat. So we just doubled the expense right then and there. But anyway, so we had to get you guys 2 more seats on the next flight
for the next day.
Next day, 24 hours later, and you guys went to the hotel. The passport arrived, got on the plane, and you made it to Dublin. Okay.
Yes.
So pause for just a second. I just realized we skipped a huge fat chance part. So I'm going to go back.
Oh, hang on one second.
Okay.
I do want to say that Grandma later covered all of the expenses.
Yes.
She felt so bad.
Oh, of course.
So I didn't.
She's the
I didn't
sweetest.
want to make it sound like we were all out of the money.
No. She was sweet.
She was awesome.
And yes, I know how bad she felt, and it was fine. And it's a memory we will always cherish.
That's right.
It just was a little stressful in the moment.
Yeah.
But I remember. Okay, so I had already auditioned for Fat Chance. So let me
like a tape.
Yeah, I'd already sent it to self-tape. So let's just rewind just a hot second. But it was just before. It was like the week before. I had seen the casting call on like a Nashville Facebook group, and it said lead, plus sized. Now it was, at the time, the weight range that they gave was more than I was by a bit. But I was like, I don't care. I'm going to audition anyway. So I was super excited. Because especially at that time, there just wasn't very many leading role in romantic comedies for plus size people. And that's just something that I was really, really excited about. So anyway, and it was a faith-based film. That at the time wasn't quite as important to me as it would be now.
Right.
But anyway, so I was super excited about it. So I had submitted my headshot. They asked me to tape, and I taped an audition. Maybe I know I have it, so maybe I'll throw it, just like the visual of it, over my voice right now.
So anyway, funny.
So this is my audition tape. I promise my audition tape quality has gone up since then. This was like just when self tapes were becoming like a thing, and so. Right. Anyway, so I auditioned. You helped me tape. I don't know if you remember. That was at your house at the dining room. You read for Amaris, who ended up being one of my very, very best friends. It was a car scene, and so we did the scene, and I sent it in.
I do remember that.
Yeah, and then that was it. And I was like, cool,
We're done. I'm going to Ireland.
I'm going to Ireland. I was so excited. And so now, then all of that happened. Passport stuff happened. Okay, sorry, I had to rewind there. I missed a step. So we get to Ireland, and I'm dead tired. I actually remember falling asleep on a double-decker tour bus because I was up for like 42 hours or something by this point because I didn't sleep on the plane. And so I hadn't discovered Dramamine yet.
Right.
So anyway, we get to Ireland. Me and Denise and Katie end up heading across the country. It's like on the other side of Ireland to Adair. And Denise made me drive.
Yes, on the wrong side of the car, on the wrong side of the road.
Yes, it was.
Let me just interject.
Yeah, okay.
Across the entire country.
It's a little different.
Means something different in Ireland than it does in the United States.
It has like a 2-hour drive.
Right.
Yes.
It's an island. But it just was so funny because your perspective is so different there.
Totally. And she's been driving longer than I have. I just kind of thought she would drive. But anyway, I ended up driving us across the country. I'm going to be dramatic and say it again.
Do it.
And when we landed, I turned my phone back on or whatever, and I had gotten an email from Micah, I guess, or maybe it was Wesley, whoever was doing casting at the time. And they just asked if they love my tape, and they said, hey, can you be available for like a Zoom call before Zoom calls were a thing. Actually, honestly, it was probably Skype.
It was.
Actually, now that I say that. So this is a Skype call. That tells you how old it was. And so we did this Skype call. He asked if we could do it, and he gave me some time options. And I said, hey, man, yes. Just so you know, I'm in Ireland right now, so I'm about 6 hours ahead of you. But this time works for me because I'll still be awake.
Yeah, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's like 2 o'clock in the morning in Ireland, and it was like whatever time that is. Is that 8 o'clock?
I don't know, but
I don't know what the math is.
You'd been up for 42 hours.
I've been up for like 42 hours. I was exhausted. So we check into so you weren't there for that meeting.
No, I wasn't.
Forgot that you weren't there. I picture you there, but you weren't. So we get to the house. It's a house on this manor, and the first thing we all Cece is my aunt. We divvy up the rooms, and I'm like, okay, I have to go like shower. I was like, go get audition ready. So sure enough, I take a shower at like midnight, and I get all dolled up and all ready and connect to the internet, which wasn't great. And so I had this Skype call with Micah and with Wesley. And Wesley, if you don't know, if you haven't seen the movie, he plays the main guy's friend in the movie. And so we Skyped the three of us, and I tell you what, it was terrible. It was so.
Well, the connection
was terrible. We went in and out. We really couldn't understand what each other was saying. And when I walk out of an audition or I send a tape, I'm like, I have a pretty good sense about it, and I was confident. Nope, there's no way they're going to hire me. That went terribly. That was fun. Oh well.
Right.
I feel like I even texted you. You were probably on the plane at that point, but I had texted. I was like, well, that's a no-go.
Yeah, big no.
Big no. So anyway, I'm a little sorry. I'm like monopolizing the conversation here, but
no.
So I just kind of forgot about it. It was the beginning of our week-long trip, and there was no way they were going to cast me after this horrendous meeting.
Right.
There was just no way. And so we didn't get to talk at all.
Right.
The rest of the
whole week.
Yeah. So it was just really bad.
And disappointing.
So the next day you guys arrive.
Yeah.
Because at this point we had spent the day in Dublin and then had gone to the hotel. But while we were going back to the hotel, you guys were now on the plane or whatever. Mm-hmm. However that worked. So we only spent one night without you. We woke up in the morning, and then in the morning you guys arrived and it was like a mid-morning, early afternoon. You guys arrived by bus.
Oh my word. Yes. And we can't even start to talk about that because I think they thought I was such an idiot, but I was like, I just don't know how, I had no idea how much this bus was.
Right.
And I think I was planning on relying on Katie.
Right. As well, you should.
Right. And so
she's the one who lives there.
And just Mom and I, and I'm sure I asked the dumbest questions, but we got there. So
yes.
Literally, God, it was a miracle of God that we got there because
indeed.
We had no idea what we were doing.
Amen to that. So So now we're in Ireland. We had a great week. Any highlights that you wanna mention from the trip?
You got to do archery.
The archery was fun. I met James McAvoy I was there.
How can we miss that?
And I saw Phantom of the Opera on the West End, which was in the front row, dead center. So the chandelier fell on top of me.
Yeah,
not really, but
you and Katie saw.
She and I went and.
Well, you and Katie flew over to England from Ireland, and it was like
$13.
$13.
It was so cheap.
I was like,
hashtag thanks Ryanair.
I don't know why the rest of us didn't go. I guess I was just so tired. I was trying to catch up on sleep, I guess.
Well, and it was going to be it was going to be a really intense walking day. And I know you guys were just exhausted, and Grandma couldn't go, so you guys were going to stay home with her.
Yeah, but you guys saw everything.
Oh my gosh, we did so much, and we did most of it by foot. Katie and I always joke. I had like a pedometer. We did like 28,000 steps that day.
Wild.
It's more than any steps I've ever done at Disneyland by myself, and that's all I went there for, was to walk.
Right.
28,000 steps in it's not even like a full day. It was like a half a day. Anyway, it was insanity.
But I'm glad you got to see everything.
Oh my gosh. It was a wonderful whirlwind trip, because we literally flew in the morning and then flew out. So it was awesome. It was such a great trip, and any other highlights for you? You keep talking about my highlights, but what are your highlights?
Apparently, I didn't have any.
Apparently,
you got to kiss the Blarney Stone.
I did kiss the Blarney.
We had really good pizza in Blarney, wherever we were.
Yeah, wherever we were.
Well,
all of the food was great.
That's true.
I had great. I never felt like it was great.
Oh no, I agree. It's just it was weird to find pizza there. At least in my mind,
fair.
I was like, what?
I remember having a great panini. It's just so weird.
Well, and we also went to the place where the Titanic.
Oh, the Titanic museum thing. It's like where it set sail. The last time it saw land.
Yeah.
That was really intense for me. I'm just such a Titanic buff.
Are.
And so, I remember that. Again, you're still talking about my highlights.
I really was along for somebody else's vacation, and it was fun.
Okay. Well, I'm sad you feel that way.
No. I mean, I really went to see Katie.
Right.
It
was cool to see her college, and
I loved. Here's a highlight for me. I loved going to the Crystal Factory.
Yes.
What city were we in?
And it's the
Waterford.
Yeah. I had water. I couldn't think of the other word. Yes.
Waterford Crystal. So I'm not necessarily a crystal person.
It was still really cool.
It was gorgeous, but it was the year that we went. The United States, that the NCAA in football went from. I'm not gonna say this right.
They changed.
It's now a playoff system,
right?
And
correct.
Before it wasn't. And so the lady was Waterford Crystal is who made the NCAA football trophy for
the championship
forever,
right?
And so we were standing there, and she's showing us one, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, I've seen that 1,000 times, right? We watch football a lot. And she said, yeah, we used to make this for the college football championship, but
over in America,
but they no longer are using us, and we don't know why. If we've offended them or what. And I'm looking around at all the American guys saying,
"Speak up,
tell her why," and nobody says anything. So I said, they've changed. It's not called that anymore. They've kind of done away with that process and that whole program. System. And they're having more of a championship kind of a thing, and so they've changed the name of it and probably the award. She goes, so we didn't do anything wrong? I'm like, no, you guys are great. And she's like, oh, I can't wait to tell everybody. And I'm thinking, how is it possible? I'm the one that's telling them this.
Oh, that's funny. So, I remember that, but I had forgotten.
Yeah,
that's
so
funny.
That was kind of funny, but
just that whole trip was just great. It was just great.
Yes, it really was.
We had a great time, and so now let's head on over, because we got to get through Fat Chance.
Yeah,
all we've done is gone through Ireland. So we hop on a plane together. Everybody has their passports, and we hop on a plane back to Chicago.
Right.
And when we land in Chicago, we separate from them because they had to go to like a different airport. It was like, that's a thing.
Well, they were spending the night one night there.
Oh, that's true. So yes, that's why. And so you and I stayed at the airport, got some food, and then headed to Nashville. But while we were there,
yes,
I got an email, and I got my official offer from Micah to play Micah Corona, the director, to play Allison in Fat Chance. And I was so excited, and I was really, really excited, and it was a great way to end that trip. And so,
but at what point did you ask him to read the script?
right then. I said,
all right.
hey, thank you so much for the offer. I would love to read the script before, is it possible that I read the script, which I highly recommend doing if you're an actor. Don't just take any job, read the script first. But so he immediately sent it to me.
Yeah.
And so I actually got to read it on the plane.
On the way back.
From Chicago to Nashville. And by the time we landed, I sent in an email and I accepted because I'd read it.
Right. And it was cute. It was
very cute, very sweet. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. And so. Well,
let me interject here. So we've talked to Micah since because we know him.
Yes.
And I remember him telling me, and maybe it was on set, I'm not really sure, but he said when he saw your audition, he knew. He said, I didn't have to see any others. It was as if God downloaded, this is Allison. Oh, she's the one. And I loved that story.
That's very nice. I don't think
he
he's ever told me that.
Yeah,
he likes to keep me humble. No, I'm just kidding. He, it's true because he and I ended up working together. You guys, I still work with him and that team
for the last 6
years. And so it was obviously very God ordained. And I think I missed this, but I'm pretty sure I sent in my resignation letter to my job while we were in Ireland.
Oh, it's possible. It was right that it was during that time.
If I didn't send it, I wrote it.
Okay, yeah.
I remember writing it while we were there. And so now I was going to transition. I knew that I was going to leave that job and I was going to go straight into production.
Yeah.
I had to leave in like 2 weeks. And then in case you guys don't know, it was like 9 hours away. So we were filming in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was in Nashville and I drove because
wild.
they only film on weekends. Because it's a church making movies, they only film on weekends. And so I drove to North Carolina 9 times back and forth.
900 miles?
It's like 8.5 hours. One way.
So it's not that many miles.
It's long though. It's a long trek. Now I went to college in North Carolina making a very similar drive, but this was about 2 hours farther.
Well, and you only went back and forth once or twice during college.
Right? This was 9 times back-to-back weekends. So like it wasn't like over a span of years, a span over a few months.
Oh, it was wild.
It was crazy. And I still have that car to this day.
I can't believe it's still running.
And that car got me to North Carolina back, not just these 9 times, but since then more times, and to California.
I was going to say, we did a whole podcast on our trip to California.
In that car.
Same car.
Yep, that car, Pontiac G6, 2005.
Thank you, John and Carla Visser.
Yep, thank you, John and Carla Visser. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
so
we bought the car from them.
Yes. So anyway, so let me kind of fast forward a little bit to getting there. At this point in my career, I'd done one film that was where I'd starred in it that was faith-based, which was a very good experience. But there was something about this particular set that just helped me. God was doing something. God was working on me through this. And I really just had kind of a career shift, and a mindset shift where I was like, man, this is what I want to create for people. I want to create opportunities for people to experience the love of Jesus and on a set.
Yeah.
And so it was just such a wonderful, wonderful set to be on. I only got to be on set like 2 days out of the week and then come home, work part-time, and then go back. And that was a very crazy season. And thank you very much for helping me get through that. And so I am very passionate, especially now, 5 years removed and seeing the response from it. I'm very hyper aware of I'm going to take this turn a little bit. Sorry. And we can backtrack if we need to, but I'm just very aware of the fat shaming and the fat phobia that exists in the world, that I had just accepted as part of life before this movie, and it's just not okay. And
I would say, and this is jumping way ahead, and we'll need to come back, but there was a distribution company that purchased.
Let's get to that. Yeah,
I mean, you go ahead and tell it.
Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. We're going to get there.
Okay.
We're going to create the suspense. You have to wait for that story. It's a good one.
It's on that topic.
Yeah, but I'll remember to get to that. So anyway, we made the movie. It was hot. There was a fat suit involved. And it was not a pleasant experience physically.
Right. But
hot. Emotionally, it was super life-giving. And I really fell in love with these people. And I fell in love with this group. And I, made some lifelong friends, obviously some lifelong coworkers as well.
And whether they like it or not.
I know, whether they like it or not.
You're not
Well,
going
so
anywhere.
what's cool is, about halfway through filming, it was a day that you were there on set. Micah mentioned to you, or just in passing,
He
or
said it, nearby.
just in general,
Yeah.
that their editor had fallen through. And so what did you do? You took matters into your own
Oh, I did not. I
hands.
didn't. He was there, and I said to him, and I guess he heard it. I said, "Does he know that you're a film editor?" And I mean, within minutes, he was like, "Wait, what?"
Yes.
And he was asking you, and so I think he let you try it out first, and
Something that was like
you guys are still halfway in filming,
right.
so-
I ended up editing like one scene or something,
And, yeah.
and lo and behold, here I am 6 years later, still editing for them every day,
all of their
all day,
films.
every day. So yeah, that ended up being a really great working relationship. I ended up editing that movie as well, which is crazy. For any actors out there who are wondering what to do, and I could talk about this for a really long time, but the in-between, I highly recommend picking up editing or writing or just some kind of production job where you can just constantly be in that field and working and honing your craft, because being an editor makes me a better actor, and being an actor makes me a better editor, 100%. So,
Well, and I have just to say, because I'm a proud mom.
Okay.
But the very beginning of that movie.
Oh, geez.
I love
know.
what you did with the little
credits.
girl walking down the sidewalk.
She really
during
loves the opening credits. So anyway, we wrapped the movie. I have, there's lots of stories I can tell you about being on set during that film. But I think what was more transformative is just kind of what happened afterwards, which is a big old waiting period. We had no idea what we were going to do with it. And we just kind of, Micah, we being me and Micah and the living room team, just kind of sat on it. We didn't really know what to do with it. And so we eventually got a distribution deal, maybe a year or two later, sold the film. And now it's probably got, maybe collectively across all of the platforms, Micah and I roughly estimate anywhere between 8 and 10 million views.
Totally.
So, which is just insane, like absolutely insane. And so, for it to have been seen that many times, even if it's by the same person,
Okay, and we know it's not. And let me just...
Well, I know, but...
Let me add this caveat in there. Because you're rarely on Facebook, and I just happen to be part of your account. You get people that are following you or like you or whatever from all over the world.
Yeah, that have seen the movie.
Because of that movie.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy the number of the people who will reach out and say, "I just saw your film. I love you, Alligator Allison."
I know. It's
It
very
is so
sweet.
cool.
Well, and that's why we do it. That's why we make independent films for no money, is because we want to reach people. We want to share our stories with them, and we want to resonate with them, and we want to connect with them. And so if you have ever sent me a message, please know that I've read it.
Yeah.
And I'm just always blessed by them. So thank you very much. And thank you to anybody who's ever seen it. That just means the world to me that you took some time to watch it. It's a very independent, cheesy Christian rom-com.
Yes.
But I call it a dramedy. But I am very grateful. I'm grateful for that I'm grateful for that time in my life. I'm grateful that God saw me through a very tough time. I mean, that was the transition from that job out of that job was tumultuous.
Yeah.
And I would say that through this film and through this group of people and through with God, honestly, that I was able to make that transition pretty seamlessly. Yeah. And so we wrapped and we released the film. And so about the releasing of the film, I'm going to now get to that story that my mom was teasing you with earlier. They released the film, and this is the poster that we had originally submitted. I can throw it up on the screen. This is the poster that we originally made. It's my back. I'm wearing the fat suit, and it's my back. And this is the poster that they released. And for those of you who are listening and don't have the visual, it is the fat suit that I was wearing. I was portraying a real life person. This whole movie is based on a true story. And the woman is, well over probably 300 to 350 pounds. And the photo that they ended up using was they took my face from a behind the scenes photo
On Facebook.
Well, no, it was like on set. So it was part of like the
was it?
press
Okay.
kit that we sent them to the distributor. But they photoshopped my face onto like a different body, either somebody else's body or like a mannequin body that was like plus sized. But
She wasn't.
She wasn't. And I cry. I mean, like my initial reaction was just devastation. I was so devastated that they had so wrongly portrayed our film in this poster just because it looks more like a rom-com poster. Now, don't get me wrong. Posters are important. Posters is how you sell the movie. I know that. And is it a good poster? Yeah, but it so misrepresents what the movie is actually about. And so it definitely misrepresents Allison. And I thought it was pretty disrespectful to the real Allison, who the movie was about. And so that was super disappointing. That it was very hard for me to promote the release of a film whilst trying to warn people, right. I guess, or prepare people that the poster does not accurately describe the film. And so,
right.
So anyway, that was frustrating. I had to really get over that. But, talk about body issues. I mean, talk about fat shaming.
Right.
You bought a movie about a bigger-bodied woman, a beautiful, bigger-bodied woman who had a story to tell that really happened. It's based on a true story. And then you take her out of the poster.
Right.
You take what she's about out of anyway. So I'm going to get off my high horse here, my soapbox, if you will. But anyway, that was just really disappointing. And so we took the film to festivals, and we got nominated for a couple of things: Best Actress, Best Feature, at the International Christian Film Festival, and the Christian Worldview Film Festival. We got nominated for Best Picture, Best Feature.
Right.
So we got to do some fun, networking stuff, if you will, with it.
Totally.
But then that was it. Now it just is kind of out there, and we're kind of riding that wave, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm very proud of it. Some, people will come up to me and say, I watched your movie, and my initial reaction, because of this, I'm just a self-deprecating person, is like, why? Why did you watch it? And really, I should just be, I'm just so great. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for people who take the time to watch it, because I think the message is really important.
Oh, it totally is. And it's just funny that, it came out in 2015. And last week, literally last week, you and I were at a film festival, and a little girl came up and she said, my mom told me to watch this movie, and it was the best movie ever. And she hugged you, and it was so sweet. So sweet.
Yeah. And
so you still get it.
I know, which is awesome. And I'm very grateful. I'm probably more passionate now about telling stories about bigger bodied people than I was at the time. I don't want to get back on a soapbox, and so I won't, but I just am. I'm more passionate about it now than I've ever been.
Right.
Because it's the reality we live in, that people are fat phobic and they fat shame, and it's just awful. And, so anyway, I'm big advocate for that.
Yeah.
Body positivity. And, I hope to tell more stories about bigger body people that aren't centered around weight loss.
Right. Around that topic.
And so, that's something I'm passionate about. And, if you are too, let me know, and we can collaborate and make something together. So that was kind of, my journey with Fat Chance, and it's ever ongoing. I don't really ever foresee it ending, because it makes its rounds. Every couple months it kind of gets a surge, and I'm just so grateful for that experience, and it was truly wonderful. And now I get to work for those people making more movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're very grateful to Micah too.
Oh my gosh, he knows, but I'll never be able to express to him how grateful I am. I mean,
well, and you guys are. You're editing another movie that he made this year.
Yes, he made a movie this year that I helped cast,
right,
and helped produce a tiny bit, just like from a creative perspective. And then now I'm editing. They filmed it, and now I'm editing. And I've just written a feature film for him that they'll shoot next summer. And I'll probably edit and cast that as well. So, you just never know. God is so good, and you just have no idea. Yeah. He literally delivered me from a situation that I thought I was going to be in forever. I was prepared to do that job for the rest of my life. And when it took a turn and that wasn't going to be the case anymore, he delivered me into this really great family of people who are passionate about making, first of all, number one, passionate about the Lord and passionate about sharing the news of King Jesus. But then secondly, passionate about film and how those two can come together and make art. And we want to make good art. And so, with every film you get better. Our writing and our acting, it's cheesy. It is. But every movie we get better. And we are learning and growing. And so that's Fat Chance. Did I miss anything?
No, but can we show the trailer?
Yeah, sure. So here is, they actually recut the trailer. So this is not my cut.
Of course
it's probably similar, but this is not my cut. But this is the trailer for Fat Chance.
Justin, she's here. She who? The new hottie. By the books. Behind the fatty.
So, Aaron, right?
Uh-huh.
It's nice to meet you.
I am so sorry. What is wrong with you? If you would just lose some weight, maybe you wouldn't have such a hard time being normal.
I see all of these beautiful, skinny people, and they're happy.
You've got to get up and live your life.
What life? Look at me, Kate. Who is going to want me?
I haven't talked to you in a while.
Have we talked?
What do you think about those online dating sites?
Don't tell me that you can't find a date.
I've seen your Unite profile.
Was that Unite? Fat chance. Who is going to want you?
Dude, looking for hot and cool. It doesn't exist.
I didn't say anything about hot.
I kind of used your picture for my profile.
You did what?
I really like this one.
So I take it he doesn't know it's you yet.
When he finds out that his Allison is really this Allison, what do you think he'll do?
Hello, everybody! I'm Nancy, and I'm the director of Camp Timberlake!
Camp? Me? Yeah, I don't think so. You know, actually, I've been looking for something to do this summer.
See you later, Alligator Allison.
More like Elephant Allison.
Hey, won't do that
How
again.
do you know Justin?
We're just friends.
Oh.
I'm not exactly his type.
What's his type?
Someone who doesn't look like me. What would you do if you lied to someone that you really cared about, but to tell them the truth might mean losing their friendship?
Tell him the truth.
I can't. I'm not ready to lose him.
Okay, that was the trailer. I don't really know how to come out of that. Look at my face for 2 minutes. But what was so cool that God was also orchestrating was, while he knew that I was going to end up working for Micah for several years, while I was there during a week of filming, I saw the UCLA program.
That's right.
And I applied, and I was actually able to send in clips from the film, which is probably how I even got into the program at all,
Right.
which is eventually how I moved to California, met Olivia. I mean, ended up writing the guy I'm not dating. So, I mean, just God it's just insane to take stock. And it's so important to take stock of how God is moving in your life.
Yes. Amen.
And I just think that this has been a kind of a cool way for me to do that, is just and then honestly, I would not have moved to Chattanooga probably if I hadn't moved to California first. That just isn't, and then I wouldn't have met Nick, and I wouldn't be married, and we wouldn't be doing this podcast, and the pandemic wouldn't have happened. Just kidding. I'm not going to go quite that far. I'm just kidding. It's not my fault. But you know what I mean? It just, he is such a good God, and everything for his glory and for our good and our joy.
Yeah.
But I tell you, being in Fat Chance is going to be one of my highlights just for the rest of my life. It was my first starring role in a film that I wasn't making, where I truly felt a shift in my career, and I really wanted to focus all of my talents and all of my gifts in bringing others into a relationship with King Jesus. I mean, that was a pivotal moment.
Yeah, that's good.
And you know, in those moments, I do want to say that in those moments, even when you feel God moving, even if you don't know what it is, it's okay to rest and sit in that. I had no idea that eventually that would lead to a ministry about talents and gifts. That would be encouraging other people to go do that, to you know, really take stock of their talents and gifts and really purposefully use those to bring others into a relationship with King Jesus, because that's what it's all about. But I had no idea that that's where I was going. I had no idea we're going to make a podcast. And so I thought I was going to go to Hollywood and become a famous actress. You know, that was still in the cards for me.
Right.
And so anyway, I had to go to Hollywood for a reason. I'm super glad I did.
Oh, well, yeah. And even the friendships you've made, like you mentioned Amaris before.
Yeah.
And then Olivia.
Yeah.
I mean, these are...
And Micah. I mean, Micah's a very good friend of mine.
true.
While he's also my boss, he's a very good friend. And so anyway, it's just, I wanted to just share a little bit about that part of my testimony, because I haven't always been this focus. I haven't always given up my career, and I haven't always given up my trajectory in life to Christ. I haven't just laid it down at his feet. And,
Right.
and I definitely wasn't being purposeful about it, about like, I want to do this film because it glorifies God. I want to do this because it glorifies God. Or how can I glorify God in this? I wasn't asking those questions at the time. And so if you're not asking those questions, highly recommend start don't wait till for a movie to come out that you have to do. I'm just kidding.
Oh, right.
I'm just saying you can do that even in your everyday life.
Right.
You know?
Well, and because lots of people have other jobs and other talents. And,
Totally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I agree.
So that's Fat Chance. Did I miss anything?
No, I'm so glad you shared. Thank you. You used to not want to talk about it, so
I have a little bit of, you guys are my friends. I have a little bit of social anxiety talking about it, and I don't like talking about myself if I can help it.
Right. Well, I'm glad you did. Thank you.
But yes, thank you for asking me to do it.
Yeah.
And for those of you, again, I just want to say one more massive thank you to anybody and everybody that has seen that movie, or has shared that movie, or has sent me a note about that movie. I really cannot tell you how much it means. That is the only reason that we make films, at least in the faith-based sectors. We want to reach people, and we want to impact people, and we want to show people Jesus. And so I'm so grateful when we get just affirmation. Jesus is using you to affirm us to continue making films and to continue making stories that glorify him. So I'm grateful.
Amen.
All right. I guess that's it.
Yep. Thank you, Sarah. I'm glad you shared. For more information on Project Brickworks, visit us online at projectbrickworks.org, subscribe to our newsletter, or text BRICK to 55498 to get the latest news and updates. And to catch up on previous episodes, head over to thecollaborationconversation.org. We love you all. Be blessed, and we'll see you next time. Bye.